Welcome back, folks, to the Mailright Show. This is episode 259. We've got a special guest. I'm going to butcher his name now, but I'm going to have a go. It's Jaime Resendiz. And we're going to be talking about all things Facebook here. He's got a really fantastic YouTube channel. He's been pumping out some fantastic stuff about using the power of Facebook. You know that I'm also all about Facebook myself. So, Jaime, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you so much for the invitation that you and Robert gave me. So thank you so much. Really an honor to be here. As far as myself, I'm Jaime Resendiz, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. So here in Texas, been in real estate as a practitioner for about nearly 4 years now. But when it comes to the online marketing, that's been since 2010, basically, and really leveraging social media in every capacity, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any platform. We'll certainly dig into it and really focus on the paid aspect of the platform. The organic is fantastic, but I'm more in the acceleration game. So really trying to get results a lot quicker than posting one day at a time.
That's great. And I've got my great co-host, Robert Newman. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself to the new listeners and viewers?
Yes. So my name is Robert Newman. I'm a real estate marketing specialist who's been doing it for 13 years, and I specialize in what would be considered the opposite end of marketing than Jaime. I do the long-term content, inbound stuff. So this is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, and I'm the founder of Mailright. It's a suite of tools. It uses the power of Facebook to get you quality buyer and seller leads and much, much more. Go over to Mailright, have a look at what we're offering. Let us do a demo for you. You're going to be blown away. So, Jaime, this right go into the meat of it. And can you give us maybe, because I thought you were going to be a superb guest, because not only have you shown that you really understand Facebook, but you're a practicing agent. So there can be no argument. You're using what you preach. So are there any campaigns that you've done recently, let's say in the last 6 to 12 months, that come to mind that have generated you some fantastic results?
Absolutely. So the one that immediately comes to mind is a just listed campaign. And I would love to make that available to your audience. Wherever you send them, I'll make that available to you so you can send it on their way. So they see the exact ad copy, so there's no guessing. But basically the gist of the campaign is whenever you put a property out to market, you're going to run a just listed campaign, and I'll furnish you everything, the targeting, the ad copy, almost the images. We can't necessarily use the same images, but give you everything that you need to use. With the just listed campaign, it really prompts people to reach out to you and give you their name, their email, and their phone number because they're more interested in the property that you're advertising. So you present it in such a way where people are compelled to become leads. So basically people are knocking on the door, really wanting to give you as much information as possible in exchange for the property that you're listing. Now, one of the questions that comes up is, well, what if I don't have a listing? There's not a lot of newer agents out there that don't have any listings. So the strategy there is to either get permission from your broker to advertise another listing from the brokerage, or go outside of your brokerage and ask for written permission from the listing agent so you can market that property as well. So I also have the script on that, and I would love to make that available to you, Jonathan, so you can share to your audience.
Oh, there's gonna be a full transcription on the Mailright website, and you send that to me, and I'll make sure that is totally available and they can download it and everything. And it's great for you to offer that. Over to you, Robert.
So I'm looking at your site. So for our audience, not for you, Jaime, I'm just going to explain. So something, which is Facebook marketing, social marketing, my perception is that you can get lots of leads very fast. The cost of acquisition, which is a fancy way of saying how much does it cost you to get that lead, can be very inexpensive if you do it well. I'm looking at one of Jaime's pages, and it's showing an example where he's acquiring, it says a result, but I assume that's a lead, for $1.80, which is a very low cost of acquisition. So, and you've got full tutorials up on your YouTube channel, how to teach people how to do this and how to do it yourself. I guess my question for you first and foremost is, you're a practicing agent who's selling real estate. Do I have that correct? Or are you like a coach selling coaching services?
I'm not necessarily selling coaching services. So now I support the team that I have. So
Okay.
I'm not practicing much any longer unless they're just personal referrals. Most of my time is spent supporting my agents.
Okay. And how many agents do you have that you're supporting?
20.
20. Okay. I got you. And when you got into this, because you said you've been in online marketing, what compelled you to look at like social marketing first? Like, what was your thought process as 4 years ago, you get into real estate, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm going to make some money. Why social marketing?
Well, there's so many people on social media. That's one. And then the targeting at that time, so we're talking several years back before several targeting features went away. At that time, it was incredibly simple to do, meaning where you could highlight people that were likely to move. I mean, there was a button on Facebook, as an example, that right there said, likely to move. Anybody could create a campaign and would see results of people that were likely to move, as Facebook gathers all of the information across the internet. I mean, maybe not all, but pretty darn close. So there was a lot of selling indicators that was giving accurate data for Facebook, so we could, as advertisers and as business owners, be able to target them. So to answer your question, just the amount of traffic that was there, the huge audience, but also the specificity on how we could target that audience.
Okay, so you brought something up, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but you've already mentioned it subtly. How have the changes, so Facebook has been getting pressure from legislation in 100 different places to ratchet down basically how much they spy on an individual, like how much information they give out, how has that impacted you? Like you're a Facebook guy, you're doing this all the time. I assume you're doing it for these 20 agents. How does that impact you?
You have to go a little bit broader in the sense when you're marketing. So you can't go as specific. So really it hasn't stopped us too much, where we actually have to think about what we're doing from the front end. So what I mean by that is, in the past, it was very, very simple. You just ran one campaign, one ad set, and one ad, and you were getting a ton of leads. But now you actually have to think about advertising in campaigns, meaning you have to have a strategy. So I'm going to launch this campaign with this type of messaging, and then right behind it, I'm going to launch what's known as a retargeting ad of the people that showed at least a level of interest. So there's a little bit more planning that goes into it. At the end of the day, the users are still there, except you're not able to target them with as much specificity as you once were able to. So in summary, launching what I call an anchor ad, and then right behind that, multiple ads that are there to play cleanup and close the deal, if you will.
Okay. And I noticed that you're on YouTube. So one of my burning questions, because John knows this, but you don't. I've done some writing. I've partnered with a company here in California called Ylopo, and they use Facebook. They launched their whole company using Facebook. And the guy that runs it, Ji Jafeng, is somebody that I've known for a decade, like a long time. He's a brilliant marketer. And they're using video inside their ad sets. They're using something that they call Listing Rocket, but it's just a fancy way. They figured out an auto-generated like video that they can use, and they're starting to swear by it. Like it's a big anchor inside their marketing proposal, pitch, whatever you want to call it. Are you using video as part of your ads?
Yes. Video performs incredibly well.
Okay.
Incredibly well.
And what kind of video? Because I'm sure that some of the people listening to the show would be fascinated to understand how you're leveraging it.
Well, there's multiple types of videos. So one's a branding video. So whenever we take on new agents that are wanting to break into their market. Either they moved there or just are new or just want to completely do a revamp on their marketing. We run a branding video, which kind of serves like a an anchor video. An anchor ad that I brought up a couple of minutes ago. So a branding video is designed to get people aware of not only the agent, but the services that they provide and their brand, hence the name. And then we still do the same methodology of retargeting. So we do branding videos. That's one. We do listing videos in a limited capacity. There's it's not the best thing to do, but when it comes to the types of whether images or videos more often than not will outperform the images. But we'll do listing videos as well. They just have to be a little bit more succinct, because at the end of the day, what we want are leads and actual business extrapolated from Facebook. So listing videos is another type of video, informational videos as well. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but those are generally the types of videos that we launch with. Some of them are very direct to the point. So we're trying to get people to act on that, as soon as they click. There's some videos that are a little bit longer term. So a little bit more like branding videos would be an example of, we don't necessarily want your information today. We just want you to know that we're around, but trust that in the future, when we retarget you 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, we're going to be collecting that information.
I got you. So I have one burning question, and then if John, if you want to pick it up, I'm going to hand it back over to you after this. But here's my burning question. So my experience with Facebook leads, I'm not a Facebook expert. John's the guy that of this duo that spends his time on that platform. I'm Google, and I know a lot about Google. So ask me anything about SEO or PPC, and I'm your boy. But the Facebook stuff I have not focused on as much. But here's what I've noticed with all of my partners and Ylopo and all the people that I do business with that use Facebook, which is a huge amount of agents that I do business with. Of 150 clients, I'd say 75 do Facebook in some way or another. So the thing that I've noticed is they all have had to put together a back-end system, like tools that they use in order to nurture and capture leads, because even with the things that you're suggesting, it tends to cast a very wide net, which is a nice way of saying you probably have to go through 30 or 40 or 50 of these leads to find the person that you're going to do business with. So are you using, what back system are you using, and why are you using it?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And I mean, you're spot on when it comes to the back end, which is basically follow-up. And the system that we use is KV Core. So KV Core is our CRM that does emails, that does text, that does voice drops, that does video. So we integrate directly into KV Core and have a lot of the system take care of itself. So the text, the phone calls. So the agents that I work with personally on my team, they have the benefit of my ISAs. So we have people actually calling on their behalf. But then beyond that, so the extended network of the agents that I work with, they don't necessarily have access to my personal ISAs, but they have access to other calling appointment setters. So it's a combination of text, emails, voicemail drops, and also calling directly, and having a very, I don't want to say repetitive, but with online leads, to your point, there is a good amount of follow-up that needs to happen. So within those next 30 days from the lead that comes in, they will be hearing from us in some capacity multiple times over.
And did you decide to build your own ISA team, or did you use a service like Conversion Monster or Agent Assistant? So, I mean, there's 100 of them, so I'm not going to name them all.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say that you have a choice as a business owner when you're building the system up. It's like either you can hire and train your own team of ISAs, or you can go out and find somebody who does real estate specific and they'll call your leads for you. So which route did you decide to go?
We kind of merged them. So there's a company that was starting out, and they weren't necessarily focused in real estate. So when we got involved, we kind of became partners, where I was doing the education aspect of it. They were securing the workforce.
Okay, I got you. So a bastardization of the two. You found a new vendor, and you basically said, "Hey, I'll teach you real estate, but you give us a good deal on your services, so on and so forth." Right? Okay. And has that
I think we need to go for our break, actually.
already?
And when we come for our break, I'm going to be asking, apart from video, which we've already talked about, I'm going to be asking our great guest about two areas that really get me excited about Facebook, and that's lead ads and custom audiences. I'm going to be asking a few questions about that. We'll be back in a few moments, folks.
Hey, John, I'm going to go pick up my cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay. Scared him off. All right. So we're coming back, folks. I've scared off my co-host, but he'll be back in a few seconds. So, like I said before the break, I wanted to talk about lead ads and custom audiences. There are two areas, apart from video, that we mentioned in the first half that really get me excited. So what's your feelings about those two areas? And maybe you could give a brief description to our listeners and viewers what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, there's a great debate when it comes to online marketing, specifically on Facebook. There's the lead forms, which what you're alluding to. So lead generation campaigns, it's one of the 11 campaign objectives on Facebook. And just to summarize what they are, it's a campaign that keeps the audience, people that click on your ads, on Facebook. So whenever they click learn more, download, whatever the call to action is on the ad, they stay on Facebook. And when they click on the ad, their information that they willingly gave to Facebook automatically populates in the lead form. That's where it gets its name. So all they have to do is click again, and their information is shot over to you. So that's the lead generation campaign. Now, the other types of campaigns, every single one without exception is basically driving, well, maybe there's another one, the messages campaign, but most other campaign objectives, they'll send the audience, the people that click on your ads, to an external site, whether that's your website, whether that's your landing page, basically outside of Facebook. So the great debate is, which is better? Is it the lead forms or the lead generation campaigns, or a traffic campaign, a conversion campaign, reach campaign, brand awareness, what have you? So anything that drives people away.
What's your feeling?
What's the feeling? Just putting it to you straight. So I would say that Facebook conversion ads have higher quality, and Facebook lead forms is the great way to get started with advertising. So the lead generation campaign, it's the easiest entry point into anybody that's looking to do Facebook advertising. However, going back to Robert's point, when it comes to casting a wider net and people submitting the information, it's going to give you more leads and it's going to cost less, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be as high quality as if you send them outside of the Facebook ecosystem into and use a traffic campaign or a conversion campaign, because they actually have to input their information as opposed to Facebook automatically populating their information in the forms.
Now, the other thing I go on and on with my agents about is building up your database and your email database and really subdividing it, because you then can use it with Facebook with a lookalike audience, and that really gets me going. The power of that. Have you utilized that, and maybe you can tell the audience what that's about?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. When it comes to the database, real estate agents, their business is the database. So your database is your business. Now, when it comes to collecting people's information, their names, their emails, their phone numbers, all of that is super valuable, and having a centralized location, whether you use KV Core, whether you use any other CRM or any email autoresponder, that is important in and of itself. Now, if you have all of that information in one place, you have the ability to create what's called a custom audience on Facebook. So with that custom audience that you have on Facebook, it's if Facebook is going to go out there and find those people on Facebook. So if they use the same phone number or the same email when they registered into Facebook, Facebook will find them. So you're able to market to your database that you uploaded to Facebook as a custom audience and directly speak to them. So that's one level. That's a custom audience that you create. Now there's a different level which you're alluding to, Jonathan, and that is the special ad audience. So it's no longer called the lookalike audience when you're advertising to people that are running ads to credit, employment, housing, and political action topics. So that's the special ad audience that was created because of the changes of, Facebook is getting pressured 1,000 different ways to limit their what Robert was alluding to earlier. So that special ad audience, that's the housing category falls in that special ad audience. So what you now have to do is create a special ad audience. I know it gets confusing, but
it does, doesn't it? But you're a bit more up to date than me. It's interesting what you're going to say. So are you going to say that its power has been pared down a little bit?
It's been tampered down. It's the tampered down. Now the lookalike audience, which is basically is still there, but it looks at the custom audience that you once created, and it goes out into Facebook and finds similar profiles. That's basically what we're talking about. However, there's a special ad audience and there's the lookalike audience. The lookalike audience is a little bit more powerful because they are still collecting a lot more data points that the special ad audience can no longer do.
Oh, that's a fantastic explanation of that. Over to you, Robert.
So, I guess my question would be: so you're 4 years into this road that you've taken with Facebook, and you specifically said that you like to accelerate your growth, which, by the way, is language for if you have money and you know what to do with it in terms of the language I use is direct marketing. Now, direct can mean TV and radio too. It just means you pay money, you get an advertisement up in front of somebody. You're leveraging that system via social media, if I understand your strategies. So you're doing Facebook and YouTube and so on and so forth. But you've stayed away from Google, you said, I think, is what I heard you say. Is that right?
No.
He's into it all. He's a master, Robert. He loves all
not
this.
necessarily staying away from Google. I think that I think Google has its absolute place, but when it comes to the budgets that some of the agents that I work with, whether they're in my network or they're outside of my network, when we choose, most of the time we go with Facebook. Now with Google, we pick either or. So I have nothing against Google at all.
Okay. And you keep saying agents inside your network and agents outside your network, which seems to infer that somehow you're working with agents outside your network, because you're apparently talking to them. Can you explain that to me? Because I don't know what I can see that you have a course or something. I see something called Facebook Ads Mastery. It looks like you've got courses, whether or not you pay for those courses or you don't pay for those courses. That isn't incredibly apparent to me. So can you explain to me what that side of your business is all about?
Of course. So when I say in network, I mean to the brokerage that I'm a part of. So I'm part of eXp Realty, and those are the people that have joined me and are part of my network. So I'm their sponsoring agent. So that's the smaller core that I alluded to earlier. Now, outside of network, I consider anybody outside of eXp. Those are the people that do consulting with me. Those are the people that purchase my courses. Those are the people that I have the done for you model. And that can be title companies, lenders, real estate agents, have a good amount of builders that I work with as well in doing their lead generation. But everything is revolving around real estate.
Gotcha. So effectively, you're also a digital marketer in the truest sense of the form, in that you have information and you sell that information. The information in this case, if I'm understanding you correctly, the package is I will teach you how to do Facebook marketing for your real estate related business. Is that correct?
Yes, it's either the I teach you and you learn it, or we have the done for you model as well, where I and my team do it for them.
Got you. Okay, well that's pretty cool. Is it? Can I ask you what the pricing for that is, or is this not the right place for that?
Everyone has different pricing, but it's generally $2,000
Per month, one flat fee.
per month. So what we do is something unique where well, I guess it's not all that unique when it comes to how everyone else is structured, but the done for you model, it's half will go to the ad spend, the other goes to the services.
Got you. So it's not, you're not charging 2,000 and then charging an advertising budget beyond that. You're saying
No.
give me $1,000 a month, and I'm going to give you qualified Facebook leads. If I'm getting this all.
Standard package, there's a few more, there's more finer print, if you will, but that's basically what it is. And the reason we do it that way and not say, hey, 1,000 plus whatever, the reason we say 2,000 is because there are people that want to hire us, but are only going to spend $250 a month. That's not the right fit for us. We would much rather have them at least
send them to me. Send them to me. You have to discuss that. We're going to end the podcast show. Are you up for spending another 12, 15 minutes with us, which we call bonus content? Are you okay with that?
Sure. I'm enjoying it.
I want to ask you about your experiences with EXP. You know, what you've felt about them, because they've exploded on the market in the past couple of years, haven't they? Jaime, what's the best way for people to get hold of you, learn more about you and all your knowledge about digital marketing?
The best place is going to be YouTube. So that is really the even though I talk a lot about Facebook ads, talk a lot about every type of advertising, YouTube is really where I'm focused in on this year. And I mean, unless things radically change, that's going to be my focus next year. So YouTube would be the best place to reach me at. In regards to the EXP experience, it's been fantastic for me and what I do, which is kind of why I had to separate the the in-network versus out-of-network, where...
Yes, explain that in the bonus content, right? All right, and Robert, what's the best way for people to find out more about you, your company, and your thoughts and posts?
Sure. For those of you who are new to the show, I also am both on YouTube and I'm a content marketer, which means that all of my thoughts and my deep learning is in the form of a blog. That blog is inboundrem.com. And you can literally learn everything that there is to want to learn about the long game in terms of marketing, real estate postcards, how to prospect, digital content, marketing plans, you name it, it's there and it's all free. So go to inboundrem.com if you kind of got a little taste of learning from the show and want a lot more.
That's great. And to watch the bonus content and all the interview, plus over 200 different interviews with different experts and internal discussions that me and Robert covering almost every aspect of digital marketing for real estate agents, just go over to the MailRight YouTube channel, subscribe, and you'll be able to watch all the bonus content and all the other great resources we have on the YouTube channel. We'll see you next week when we either have an internal discussion or another great guest. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye. So on to the bonus. So EXP. So did you work for any other agents before you became so active in real estate, or were they the first choice and you stuck with them?
No, so I was with the flat fee brokerage. It was just a flat fee every month. But I joined EXP about a year now, and it just made sense with what I was doing. I was already had the channel. I was already speaking with agents across the states, and it was just a way to accelerate my agent growth faster. My initial plan was to open up a brokerage, but I didn't need to. I didn't need to when I joined the EXP ecosystem, as there's different ways to leverage the network or the platform that I've built and reach agents a lot faster.
So who do you think EXP really fits as an agent, and who do you think it doesn't work that well with?
Well, if I really had to pick one, I would say newer agents. It's a little bit harder to get started. Newer agents that that aren't resourceful. The newer agents that absolutely need to be walked to every single room, every single nook and cranny. Those types of agents, they struggle at EXP. I'm not saying there's not a place for them, but I'm just saying they struggle a little bit more because it's a little bit different. Where as a newer agent, you have to figure out, well, what association do I join? You have to figure out, well, how do I get access to the MLS? You have to figure out a lot of different things that if you join a traditional brokerage, you would you're going to ideally have that from your broker, somebody that is there physically. But since EXP is online, those agents that don't that aren't as resourceful and searching for answers, they struggle.
All right, that's great. Over to you, Robert.
So, all right, you're this guy with all this drive, very entrepreneurial, set your mind on real estate. Let's just say, and there's not that many of you, Jaime. We all know the Pareto principle, 20% of the people do 80% of the results. My experience has been to find an experienced entrepreneur who sets his cap on being a broker before he gets into the business. That number is more like 1.5% of all people that get into real estate. So let's just pretend that we have 10 of those people listening to the show. What do you tell those, you're 4 years into it, what do you say to that entrepreneurial minded person that's coming in with a high degree of pedigree into real estate? What's your advice for that? What's your elevator pitch or advice to that one type of individual?
Build out systems as quickly as possible. Build out systems that not only you can follow, but anybody can follow, because to your point, when it comes to that high level of pedigree, so thank you, that's build out systems that not necessarily you're the only one that's able to follow them, but somebody else is able to replicate in their business as well. So as you go and have the wins, have the losses, document as much as possible, and create a system that has worked for you. It doesn't need to be completely new. It just needs to be replicatable. Okay.
So you speak a lot of the exact same language, and you're using the exact same tools for the exact same brokerage that one of my favorite guests on our podcast of all time has used. His name is Mitch Ryback. Is there any chance that you've run across him?
Mitch Ryback. No, I can't say that I have.
That's funny. Okay. So he's another EXP broker. He's in Florida and you're in Texas. He uses KV Core. He uses an ISA system. He tracks every single number ever. Like, the guy knows his data like the back of his hand. It's just you two speak such the same language. I thought that maybe you had met each other or talked to each other or something. Anyway, sorry. That was an aside. John, help me out. You take the next. You take the next one.
So what's your attitude to Instagram? Do you bother with it at all when you're doing your targeting through Facebook, or do you or is it the tick box that you tick off and you don't really bother when it comes to paid campaigns?
No, Instagram is awesome. Instagram is awesome. I'm much better at it from a paid perspective than an organic. I would love to be in the organic side of things with Instagram specifically, because the reach is still there. The audience is certainly there. So I'm much better at the ad part of it than the organic. I would love to have an organic following on Instagram.
So when it comes, because there's a lot of advice on YouTube from a lot of people offering kind of free training in the real estate where they say don't bother with Instagram. So you totally refute that and you're getting good results from it.
So yeah, you're able to reach people, just the cycle. Nobody was on Facebook and now everybody's on Facebook. Nobody was on Instagram. More and more people are on Instagram. Same thing that's going to happen with TikTok, unless it gets banned, which I don't think it will, but unless it gets banned, nobody was on TikTok. It's just for the teenagers or, younger kids. And while in the past it was true, it's eventually going to everyone's eventually going to be on it. So Instagram is a great way to reach people organically. It's a great engagement tool. I just wish I was better at it.
All right. So you think there's actual differences in the kind of style of adverts you need to run, or can you give some bit of insight into that statement?
Absolutely. You do want to make sure that whenever you're running ads to Instagram, you're running the images. You resize your images. You redo your videos to where if you're going to run them on stories, make sure that they're formatted for stories. In Instagram, the user experience is a little bit more important than on Facebook. In Facebook, you can get away with that. But on Instagram, if you don't resize things appropriately, then you just have a weird looking ad.
Right. That's a good point. And just to finish off, what are some of the major, when people, agents, because you offer a lot of free training and a lot of excellent insight on your YouTube channel. So, but what are some of the things that you would advise somebody starting to advertise on Facebook? Are there any pitfalls that you can steer them away that will allow them to get some results?
Absolutely. So whenever you're advertising, regardless of where you're doing it, make a compelling offer. So make an offer, but that's compelling. Give them a reason to give you their contact information. Whether you're offering additional information about a home, whether you're offering a free cheat sheet, if you're offering the answer to a result that they're looking for, make sure that you make that offer compelling enough for people to reach out to you. Having just a general ad out there that says information about kind of what you do, who you are, and why you're the best person for the job, that is not going to compel somebody to reach out to you. That has its place in your advertising, your campaign in general, but that's not going to be the driver. But that's not going to be the driver of leads into your database.
It's so true, isn't it? Because I see so many agents, especially if they've got a new home. Obviously, even now in the pandemic, there's a shortage of properties in a lot of markets. So housing is still selling quite quickly. But they advertise a new home that's come on the market, and they give the full address, they give a carousel of images, and then they have a button to learn more. There's nothing to learn more because you've just given everything to the people.
Gave it all away. Yeah. No, you identified mistake number 2. You gave everything. You didn't give an offer.
And you see that so often, don't you?
100%.
So over to you, Robert.
So I guess my last question is, you're talking about training agents. So my impression of your system is that you kind of show your agents how to do this. Actually, I'm having a dual impression.
Okay.
Out of network agents, you teach them how to do it. So you have an agency. Agents inside you do hot transfers too, right? Your ISAs get on the phone, they qualify the lead, they send them over to your agents. Is that correct?
Yeah. So people in the network get a lot more up at bats for one, and have a higher how would I say? Well, yeah, get more up at bats basically.
Okay. So my last question for you then is for the brokers and team leads that listen to our show, because we oftentimes don't focus a lot of our content for that particular listener. And I'm going to start focusing myself on doing that. So you do all of this work. You're putting these major systems into place. And I know how much KV Core costs. I know how much it costs in terms of time and effort to develop these training tutorials. Hundreds, if not thousands of hours you've spent building out all these systems. So as a business owner, do you take a higher percentage, like when it's in network, people that are literally working for you and you've done all this, all they're doing is basically going out and selling real estate. Mm-hmm. Do you change the model in order to compensate yourself differently for all that marketing that you've done?
That's a great question. And you're not going to believe me when I tell you that it's no. So with EXP, it's without getting into an EXP commercial, there's really different ways to monetize being with EXP. There's 3 main ways. One of them is through helping buyers buy, helping sellers sell. That's what a brokerage is. The second one is through stock awards, and there's 5 different ways to earn stock with EXP at EXP. So EXPI is the NASDAQ ticker symbol. So there's 5 ways to earn stock there. And then the third way is through the revenue share, which is basically where most of the income comes from when agents join me in EXP. So basically, a long-winded way of saying that EXP's business model in and of itself compensates me from the agents that I attract. So there's no need, although I could ask for an additional 10, 20, 30, whatever percentage additional if I wanted to. I just haven't made that a part of my business plan.
I got you. All right. That's all I've got, John. But
Jaime, you must come back on the show. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview. You've been a fantastic guest. You've supplied a
very
lot
informative
of knowledge, and we kept it moving, and we threw a lot of questions at you, and it's so obvious that you know a lot of the answers. So thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for the invitation.
That's great. We'll see you next week, folks, where hopefully we'll either have a great internal discussion. I've got some more guests coming on the show that have agreed. We'll be covering a lot of different areas. So keep with us on the journey, and we'll see you next week, folks. Bye.